It's match day, people. How are you feeling about the game today? Do you, like me, believe Arsenal will bounce back today after the defeat midweek by Porto? And towards the end of the video, I'm going to tell you why I believe Arsenal have been given a massive boost in this game versus Newcastle. We've got some interesting topics to touch on in this video, so make sure you let me know what your thoughts are on every topic, because I want to gauge people's opinion on this game. You know, do you think Arsenal will pick back up where they have been in the league and carry on winning? Or do you think that loss against Porto have set Arsenal back? Let me know in the comment section. So first of all, you know, we've had so many games in such a short period of time. I love it, but it's definitely interesting in this game because Mikel Arteta obviously will have to switch his team up. So I'm interested, you know, in figuring out who will Mikel Arteta go for in this game. I think, you know, if you're looking at our defence, we probably are, you know, fairly restricted on who we can use in defence. It's probably going to be the same back four. But in terms of midfield and attackers, I think we do have a few interesting options. So let me know, who would you play in midfield and up front? Because personally, I would go Jorginho. But that depends on what happens in midfield, because we've been given some massive news. Partey and Gabriel Jesus could be available for this game. Could you imagine if this was the game that Thomas Partey finally is seen again in an Arsenal shirt? I would love it. But I think we need a strong midfield in this game. I think we're going to struggle if we play Havertz, Trossard and Odegaard. You know, all three of them in one match, because midfield in Newcastle's team is so strong. We know they have Bruno Guimaraes, who is a fantastic player. Very technical, very strong, very hungry. And that is exactly what you need in a game like this. Arsenal are obviously at home, so I expect Arsenal to carry the momentum. But Newcastle's midfield is definitely, you know, able to disrupt what Arsenal want to do. Arsenal are not going to have it all their own way in this game. And there are some interesting duels that we need to look at. You know, where can Arsenal have success in this game? I believe if I'm looking at that team and I'm trying to single out one player, you know, Dan Burn is a good player, but he's not a left back. And the more times we can get Bukayo Saka isolated on that right-hand side with Dan Burn, I think he can give him a real tough evening because, you know, Dan Burn, like I said, he's a strong defender, but he's not the most agile. He's not the quickest. So let Bukayo Saka attack Dan Burn as much as possible. And we know how good Odegaard and Saka are at linking up on that right-hand side. So that's an area that I would pinpoint. If I was Mikel Arteta, I would be saying, Odegaard and Saka, do exactly what you've done in the last game. You know, in the last game, your link-up play between yourselves was very good. You did break the lines. You was able to penetrate, you know, their left-back, which will be in this game, Dan Burn. So do that again in this game. And that's where I think Arsenal can cause them some problems. You know, you might struggle at right-back. They have Kieran Trippier, very good right-back. Even their centre-backs, look, Botman and Shaw, tremendous centre-backs. So in terms of being able to battle against them, whether it be Trossard, Havertz, or even if we're lucky enough to have Gabriel Jesus start again in this game, that's still going to be a difficult position to penetrate as a forward player, because their centre-backs are very big, very strong, and they're not the slowest in the world either. So I think we need to try and, you know, either play through with an Odegaard or like I said, try and penetrate that right-hand side as much as possible. Let me know your thoughts on that. Maybe you see it differently to me, but I think that right-hand side for Arsenal can bring us a lot of success in this game. And now we get into why I think Arsenal have been given a massive boost in this game. Look at Newcastle's injury problems. I mean, just listen to some of these players they are missing, okay? Nick Pope, he's injured. He's probably not going to make it. Callum Wilson, he's out. He's not going to make it. So that is two of their first team players. Callum Wilson is a tricky attacker to try and deal with. You know, they played Anthony Gordon in that striking position last time out. And I think Saliba and Gabriel would much rather play against an Anthony Gordon. He does offer things, but he's nowhere near as physical, as fast, or, you know, just even has the same eye as an attacker that Callum Wilson would bring that Newcastle attack. Gordon does still have 8 goals this season, so, you know, it's still a considerable number. It's probably still something you have to think about as a defender. You know, you have to bear that in mind, but it's not his natural position, so he's not going to be able to play it as well as a Callum Wilson. But there's still areas of the team where Newcastle will be dangerous. You know, Isak and Willock, surprise, will be available for this game, and it's said that they will feature at some point in this game. Whether they start or not, you know, that's tricky to say, but the fact that Newcastle have them back for this game, that will boost their chances of being able to get a result in this game. You know, they are two of their better players. Isak is unbelievable. I remember Arsenal were linked with him, and I was kind of like, yeah, listen, it's a good player. I'd probably take him, but I didn't expect him to be this good. Seems so polished already. You know, he wasn't putting up this kind of form in his last club. So Isak has really settled into the Premier League, and that can be a danger, man. Willock, you know when you're playing against your former club, you want to prove a point. And Willock does that, and he does have the ability to dictate certain passages of play in games. We've seen it against Arsenal. You know, Willock does offer things that can cause us problems, so we need to be mindful of that as well. But I do think Arsenal have been given a massive boost with the fact that all these players are injured. There are a few first-team players that are injured. You know, if Isak or Willock are not able to feature, they will have 3 first-team players out. You know, we're probably catching them at the right time. Like I said, you never want to wish injuries on a team. But everybody in the Premier League, at some point in time, will have to deal with injuries. And now it's just Newcastle's time to deal with that. So Arsenal might have caught them at the right time. And that's why we have to capitalise on this. Because I'm going to tell you why this game is more difficult for Arsenal, you know, in terms of being in the title race. But after this game, as long as we can progress through this game with no problems, Arsenal over the next couple of games can expect to increase our position or our stranglehold on this title race, okay? So let's get straight into that. So if we're looking at who we're playing this week, obviously got Newcastle. That is by far and away the toughest match in this game week. You know, Liverpool are not playing because they got the cup final. Man City are playing Bournemouth at 5:30. So I will be keeping an eye on that game. Hopefully Bournemouth can do us a favour. I don't really expect it. You know, hopefully Dominic Solanke can have a blinder. But, you know, you would expect Man City to probably progress through that game without too many problems. Like I said, Arsenal got Newcastle, which is the toughest one. But we saw this a couple of weeks ago or a week ago when we played West Ham. You know, the other teams probably had a slightly easier fixture, and Arsenal come through that with flying colours. So we need to do the same thing this week. Because then when we go into next week's match fixtures, you know, it swings round again, and Arsenal have probably got an easier tie. And probably for the next 2 games as well, to be fair. So listen to this, okay? So the next 2 games that Arsenal have got will be Sheffield United and then Brentford. You would expect Arsenal to take 6 points from those games. Brentford will probably be slightly more difficult than the Sheffield United game, but Arsenal are still more than capable of beating Brentford. Look at what Liverpool done to Brentford. 4-1. So Arsenal are more than capable of getting a few goals in that games. And then if we look at Man City, they have Manchester United next. So that's a derby. Anything can happen in that game. But the game I'm looking forward to after that is Liverpool versus Manchester City. So for one of them, you would imagine, well, one of them will drop points. Because even if they draw, they're both dropping points, which is probably the best result for Arsenal. I would probably want Liverpool to win that game because although they are top of the league right now, ultimately I don't think they're going to have enough when it comes to being in the last 2, 3, 4 games left in this Premier League title race. I do think Liverpool are going to run out of steam because I don't think they have the squad yet. I think Arsenal's squad is stronger than Liverpool's. I think Man City's squad is obviously way stronger than Liverpool's. So that's why I think Liverpool may peter out towards the end of the season, maybe as Arsenal did last season. You know, but Arsenal have a great chance over these next couple of games. As long as we can get this win, go into that Sheffield United game, get that win, beat Brentford, then we are looking comfortable. If we can take 9 points from these next possible 9 points available from the next 3 games, Arsenal will be laughing and Arsenal will increase their league. We may even go top. We may have the ability, you know, after the next 3 games for Arsenal to be top of the table. And then that sets up the clash against Man City on the 31st of March. That would be an absolute screamer of a game. Because like I said, I've been predicting for weeks and weeks, whoever wins that game on the 31st of March probably will win the title. But if we can go into that game with a cushion as well, you know, Liverpool and Man City, say if they drop points against each other, Arsenal go into that game 3 or 4 points, top of the league, you've got no pressure whatsoever, and that would just massively benefit our title chances. But that's just my opinion. I would love to know everyone else's opinion on these subjects. You know, what's your thoughts on the game? What do you think the score's going to be? Who do you think will be the goal scorers? I'm interested to know your opinion because, like I said, I think Saka will have success on that right, and I'm picking Saka to score the first goal. What do you think about this title race? Do you think Man City and Liverpool will drop points and Arsenal can go ahead of them? You know, it's going to be difficult. You know, there's going to be some give and take the whole way now up until the end of the season. And that's what makes it exciting because we're rarely in a position where we get to see a 3-team title race. And that's why I can't wait for these next set of games coming up. Thanks so much to everyone for watching and listening. Before you go, if you enjoyed this content, let me know by just giving me a thumbs up. And subscribe, and I'll speak to you in tomorrow's video. Gooners, have a good day.